Welcome to a video from thedigitalifestyle.com, and we have another build of Windows 10 to play with. This is for phone, so this is Windows 10 Mobile build 10512, which is a later build number than the desktop version has got, as they switch branches. This is on the what's technically called the TH2 branch, which I think is the Threshold 2 release of Windows 10, which is coming to the desktop later this year, but this seems to be the branch that they're using for the mobile version. So, what's new in this? Well, there's quite a few tweaks and fixes to this build. There's also a couple of issues with it that really prevented me using it as a daily phone. Surprising that the issues are there, really, considering how long it's been. It's nearly a month, well, it's over a month actually since the last Windows 10 build for phones, but Microsoft has been focused on the desktop build. So, what's new in this? Well, the upgrade process. Once again, I had a couple of issues with it. This phone was on the previous build, which was 10240, I think, and it stuck on 0% for ages, well over an hour, on the upgrade process, and then timed out with an error. And it took me a few times to do it, and eventually I had to do a reset on the phone back to sort of factory state, and then I did the update. And even then, it stayed on 0% for half an hour, jumped to 30, stayed on 30 for another half an hour, and then jumped to 100. And then on the prepare and install stage, it was on the 0% for ages as well. So that was one of the issues. But once it's finished, the upgrade process works, and this does generally feel nice and fast and smooth. Aside from the issues that Microsoft mentioned, I have noticed that I've had issues with the store. It's odd, really. It seems to be when you start to download going, it seems to stick around 70% of the app download, and you can see here it's just sat on this screen, which is not what it's supposed to do. But it seems to stick on 70%, so you think the download's not working. In fact, because there was 20 updates, it looked like it was all going pear-shaped. But actually what it does, eventually it does download the app, and as you see here, I've added some apps to it and they've installed okay. So they appear on this list of recently added before the store says it's finished installing them, which is a bit strange. If you quit the store and go back in, it does fill those in, and I've heard other reports from people saying they've had issues with the store. But I guess they'll be able to get that sorted. Like, if we have a look now and see the store, see whether it's going to come back on. Probably not. Maybe we need a reboot to get that going. Right, so what other things are there in there? Well, like I said, the whole thing does feel a lot faster now and runs cooler as well. It doesn't seem to be getting as warm as before. You can change the lock screen now based on images. You can do it from the photo app, in fact. So let's go to the photo app, and you can actually use this to, so there's a nice picture of a phone on 0%, and you've now got the option to set a lock screen, set as background, and that's a new option there. Plus there are also some new images in there as well, and that's including this image that I've got on there. The Windows 10 image is on there now as well. They've fixed an issue with SD cards that weren't working after reboot. I haven't got an SD card in here at the moment, but I do use an SD card with my daily phone, so that's good. They've made improvements to the kids corner, which I don't use. Data sense notifications have been improved, and they've improved the handwriting, Microsoft shape writing recognition. One of the things they fixed as well is where the camera wouldn't open from the lock screen. So when the phone was locked and you tried to launch the camera using the camera button like that, that wouldn't work, and that's been fixed from the lock screen, that is, or from when you switch it open. So you see there, in the default camera app was the Lumia camera, and this changed fairly recently. You now have got the new Windows camera on there. There we go, we've got the Windows camera on there. So then it makes sense, really, rather than there was two camera apps, and now there's just the one. They fixed some text messaging notifications, and they fixed an issue where the tiles the tile lettering sort of overlapping each other. So that, I think that happened on film and TVs on this one, and that all looks much better now. It's nice and clean now. And they also fixed an issue with the phone where it wouldn't. Well, the screen wasn't responsive after a phone call, so that's been fixed. So what's wrong with this build? Well, apart from what I was saying about the store, there's quite a list actually. Mobile hotspots doesn't work, which is something I do use, and this doesn't work at all on this build. So if that's something you need, then you're going to have to skip this build. I don't know why, but anyway, that should be fixed on a future build. Apps that use background audio like Groove, Podcast and Pandora will crash after the app's been updated from the store. I think a reboot does fix that. So this one does seem to be running okay. But that's probably because I've rebooted this phone since doing the app updates. Microsoft release notes say some phones with large number of tiles pinned to the start screen may get stuck in a state that says loading, and you need to do a reset or roll back to 8.1 if you get that problem. And they also mention that two-factor authentication doesn't work. You can only enter the first 2 characters. So if you do a complete wipe of the phone, you're going to have to come up with an alternative. I think you can use a secondary email for authentication. But that's just bear that in mind if you do a complete reset, because if you've got two-factor authentication on your account, then you're going to do that. If you do an upgrade, then of course it's not an issue. Quiet hours as well is flashing away there, and that shouldn't be flashing. So that was a bug on the previous release. So again, that's something that needs fixing. So Microsoft Edge browser seems to be working quite well. It's nice and fast as the desktop version is. So that does seem to be all working well. So overall, this build does feel better. The store is a definite downside. The lack of video playback is an issue, and the lack of hotspots. So it's not ready for me to put on, because I use those things. So it's not ready to put on my daily phone. But on a test phone, it is working well, and effectively it's feature complete now, so we're not going to see any major changes to it. We're just going to see these tweaks and fixes roll out as we get closer to the release date sometime later this year, probably around October time. So more videos on our YouTube channel on digital lifestyle.com. Thanks for watching this one.